Hi, my name is Michael Wolf. I'm an artist who lives in New Jersey, and I first want to thank Sarah Walkout and the Visual Arts Center of New Jersey for inviting me to speak in the Cabin Fever Artist Talk. We're coming up on the 1 year anniversary of the world suddenly shutting down from the coronavirus pandemic. I find it's an interesting time to reflect on the work that I've done in the past year. This wall in my studio I've nicknamed the Pandemic Wall. It's where I've been hanging series of works that I've been working on. This is a series of relief sculptures carved in wood.
This is the first sculpture I made during the spring lockdown when New York and New Jersey were both being slammed hard by the pandemic. At that time, it seemed like just going outside to get the mail could be dangerous. No one wanted to leave their homes for groceries, let alone art supplies, so I started looking around the studio to see what materials I had on hand. I had a few pieces of thick wood lying around, and I decided I would start with them. At the same time, my Spotify playlist kept replaying two songs that seemed to speak to my experience at the moment. One was Hard Times, written by Stephen Foster way back in 1854 and sung by Mavis Staples. The other song, sung by Rhiannon Giddens, is titled Leaving Eden. The line that reverberated in my head from Hard Times was, "Many days you have lingered around my cabin door, hard times come again no more." The line from Leaving Eden was hard times, harder still. The crows are in the kitchen, the wolves are at the door. I combined phrases from both songs for the title of the piece, which is Hard Times, Wolves at the Door. One night I actually had a dream about creating a rough texture in a piece of wood using a V-shaped carving tool. I knew it would give a torn texture to the wood, as if wolves or the virus was actually tearing at the front door. This is that piece. These are two other pieces in that series when it felt like our homes were simultaneously safe spaces and cages. In the fall of 2020, I was fortunate to be awarded a residency from the Eileen S. Kaminsky Foundation at Mana Contemporary in Jersey City. During the residency, I started this series of mixed media works on paper titled Sanctuary in Fairyland. The title came from a social media post that I saw in the spring lockdown's early days. The post was written by an English museum director. To escape the monotony of lockdown confinement, he had been driving into the English countryside. He tells the story of taking refuge in a medieval church during a rainstorm in an area of England known for stories about fairies. He describes the enchanted feeling he had during the experience. Likewise, we had also been taking trips into rural areas of New Jersey. We would get into the car and drive with no destination in mind. We found ourselves on narrow rural roads, discovering abandoned buildings, old graveyards, and once, people sitting on lawn chairs in the middle of a river on a hot summer day. Many of these enchanted locations I would never be able to find again. The 19th century writer Hilaire Belloc wrote that the best way to get to Fairyland is to lose your way. That is what we did. This series came about by having time to wander, to get lost, to imagine, and to encounter unique places.
This series of drawings started when I received a package from Amazon with about 9 yards of brown wrapping paper inside of a box. I took the paper, cut it into sheets, and began to draw on it. These drawings are a stream of consciousness drawings. I didn't have a plan in my head when I started each drawing. Just a stick of graphite and the paper in front of me. And this is the result of those explorations.
When the lockdown first hit, I thought it was going to be a very quiet year artistically. Then shortly after the lockdown, I heard from Monica King of Monica King Contemporary that she was organizing a fundraiser for Feed the Front Lines, a charity that was raising money to feed frontline healthcare workers while simultaneously helping restaurants stay in business. I gladly accepted the offer to participate. In retrospect, it ended up being a very productive year despite the hardships. I want to thank Monica King and our gallery director Jenny Goldman for offering me many opportunities during the year. I also want to thank Eileen Kaminsky and the people at Art Fair 14C, Kristen DeAngelis and Robinson Holloway for the opportunity to participate in the residency at Mana Contemporary, and Brooke Molinaroli of BAM Art Advisory for including me in her fundraiser for New York City Salt. And last, I would like to thank the Visual Arts Center of New Jersey for asking me to participate in the Cabin Fever Artist Talks.